Good Monday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. In today's weather forecast, I'll be going over the above average temperatures this week, who could be in store to seeing 80-degree high temperatures, followed by flooding rainfall this week, especially across the Pacific Northwest and the southeastern United States, how much rainfall you could see, and then the active weather pattern returns area wide this weekend with a snowstorm and severe weather. We'll go over those details later on in this video. But if you are not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on all of my daily weather forecast updates. Each and every morning at 9 a.m. on this channel, I cover southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics during tropical weather season, so definitely be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel down below and slap the like button, guys. The more likes that we get, the more thumbs up down below the video, the more views we do get on this video, so definitely appreciate all the new subscribers and all of the likes here as well. But I did want to take you over to Australia. The tropical cyclone 18 is just northwest of the coast there of Australia, and you can see the very tall thunderstorm core here just to the northwest of Australia. And this is actually going to make landfall by the middle and late portion of this week into northwestern Australia as possibly a Category 4 system. So this is definitely going to be a strong system. So earlier on this week, this is a 1,000 millibar low pressure system bringing some heavier rain just off the northwest coast here of Australia. But by the middle of this week, it rapidly deepens to a 966 millibar low. Definitely a very strong system here, and then it makes landfall here as a sub 965 millibar low and actually crashes far inland as a 977 millibar low by later on this week. So this will be bringing some very strong and destructive winds and some flooding rains to portions of Australia. We could see 100 to 200 millimeters of water, and that is about up to 10 inches of rain across portions of Australia. So definitely, if you live in the northern or western parts of Australia, definitely be on guard for the potential of a major system moving in with strong winds and heavy rainfall throughout the week. But if you guys want to follow me on Twitter, more about that and local weather throughout the United States, follow me for additional weather forecast updates at hweather420. Again, it's in the description down below the video. Definitely much appreciated if you follow me on Twitter. But across the area locally, we actually have building heights across the United States and a ridge that continues to build across the Rockies and the northern plains today. That will shift farther east into the western Great Lakes on Tuesday before taking up shop there and toward the central Great Lakes on the middle of the week here on Wednesday, April 12th. You do see, though, there is some troughs across the west and the south. We'll talk about those here in just a moment. But look at these temperatures this afternoon. We're into the 70s and even some low 80s down here into the central and southern plains. Widespread 60s in the Ohio Valley into the northeast, the east coast here. Definitely not much to complain about here. And also light winds again across much of the area here going through the next 24 hours. A little bit breezy across the west with that trough moving in, but definitely still across the eastern two-thirds of the country with those widespread 60s, 70s, and 80s out there. We will be seeing some lighter winds. So get outside, definitely enjoy the nice warm weather. And if you don't today, you have another opportunity on Tuesday as well. We'll be warming up in a big way. We have the 80s up here in the parts of the South Dakota region, much of Nebraska, western Iowa, getting into Kansas, the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas, eastern Colorado, a lot of these areas into the 80s here on Tuesday, even near 100 degrees down here into Phoenix on Tuesday afternoon as well. As we go into Wednesday, much of the same areas here will be seeing the 80s and maybe even some lower 80s, getting closer to eastern Iowa, southwestern Wisconsin here as well on Wednesday, April 12th. But we are tracking the potential for some severe weather this afternoon. The Storm Prediction Center has a level 1 of 5, a marginal risk in this dark green shaded area from southeastern Kansas through west central Oklahoma into northwest Texas. This does include the Wichita area, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, the Lawton, Fort Sill area, and then all the way down into Wichita Falls, Texas, and Vernon, Texas here as we go into this afternoon. The hazards from the storms will mainly be damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour and some quarter-size hail. The tornado threat is very, very low, under 2% in all areas, so definitely not really seeing much of a tornado threat with this system, and it really has to do with the dew points. We're not really going to see much moisture return with this system. Just a little bit of a wind shift here across the Central Plains will spark enough lift for thunderstorms later on today, and also the Cape values, the convective available potential energy these storms could tap into, will be low as well, only up to as high as about 1,000 joules per kilogram here across portions of eastern Kansas through central Oklahoma into northwest Texas. So not overly unstable, but just enough for thunderstorms and a few isolated severe storms as well. And what could make these storms severe is the lapse rate, the 700 to 500 millibar layer lapse rate. The higher you go up in the atmosphere, the temperature does change. So the lapse rate is the rate of change with the temperatures as you go up in altitude in the atmosphere. The faster the temperature changes with height, the more unstable the environment becomes here. So the stronger the lapse rate becomes. The lapse rates across these areas will be about 7 degrees Celsius per kilometer here as we go up in altitude in the atmosphere. So by the noon time frame on Monday, today we have not much going on, very quiet, but it's peak heating by about 3, 4, 5 o'clock, mid to late afternoon. We're going to see some isolated thunderstorms pop up here, probably into eastern Kansas at first. These could be severe warned for maybe some large hail or some microburst type wind gusts here up to 60 miles per hour. They'll start to expand a little bit more in coverage and get a little mature by early on this evening by 7, 8 o'clock. And then as we lose that peak daytime heating, we also lose the thunderstorms as well, going toward that late evening and midnight time frame on Tuesday morning. So again, a short-lived event, probably between about 3 p.m. and about 9 o'clock this evening, about a 6-hour period to watch out for some isolated strong to severe storms from eastern Kansas, central and western Oklahoma into northwest Texas here today. Wherever we see those storms, they could be dropping some heavier rain, so don't be surprised if you see a heavier downpour. We could be seeing 1/4 of an inch, upwards of 3/4 of an inch of rainfall across some of the areas here into southeastern Oklahoma, west central portions there of Texas, and again into southeastern portions of Kansas as well, with some of the rainfall going through the Tuesday morning time frame. Now we got to talk about the Pacific Northwest. We got our own problems up here with more of that atmospheric river. Lots of moisture here today moving up across portions of Washington State, Oregon, and Idaho. That continues to peel its way farther off to the east into Montana, Idaho, western Wyoming, and the Nevada region as we go into Tuesday. And then we'll start to slowly dry out the atmosphere from west to east on Wednesday during the middle of the week. So looking here this afternoon, we got widespread rainfall across the Seattle region, getting down near the Portland, Oregon area here. Some higher elevation snow across southern British Columbia, southern Alberta, and northern portions of Washington State this afternoon. That continues more or less into this evening. More widespread rainfall will be pushing into western Oregon and perhaps the coastline there of northwestern California this evening. And then as we go into Tuesday morning, we're going to see some colder air work into the system as that main trough moves ashore. And that means we're going to see more of that higher elevation snow take over into Tuesday morning, because you see the low level temperatures will be cooling aloft. So as we have that column of air cooling as we go up in altitude in the atmosphere, we'll also see cooler temperatures here at the surface from Tuesday morning and through the day on Tuesday and then Tuesday night. And you can see that reflected by our near surface temperatures. Temperatures will be in the upper 20s, lower 30s in the higher elevations Tuesday afternoon, and even cooling even further into the low to mid 20s in the higher elevations here of Washington State, Oregon, Idaho, and western Montana by Tuesday night. And that will support all snow in those areas. So you see that continuing again through Tuesday evening and even into Wednesday morning. Can't rule out a few snow showers, maybe some more intense bands of snow in the higher elevations as you go up in altitude there in Washington State, Oregon, Idaho, portions of Montana, and even western Wyoming as well. Do definitely watch out for that. But looking at the total rainfall accumulation from now through Wednesday, we definitely are seeing some heavier rain. So the Seattle region up around 2 inches of rain there. Portland, Oregon, same thing, about 1 to 2 inches of rain. Farther south into the Eugene, Medford, Oregon area, we could be seeing at least a half an inch upwards of an inch of rain. And then most of this farther east will probably be in the form of some snow across portions there of eastern Washington, northern Idaho, into western portions of Montana. And you see that reflected here on the total snowfall map. So the total snowfall accumulation from now through the middle of the week on Wednesday, we could be adding up 1 to as much as 2 feet of snow in the highest of the elevations here into western Washington state, a few inches here into western Oregon here across the higher elevations, and then as you go up in altitude there into Idaho and western Montana, a few more inches there. A couple areas over 6 inches is definitely possible, especially just north of the Boise, Idaho area. And again, as you go up in altitude, we're going to be seeing more travel trouble. So as you go up here into the, like, say 4, 5, 6,000 feet, you're definitely going to be running into some more of those minor, if not moderate, travel inconveniences, especially there into western Washington, western Oregon, and northern portions of Idaho, and also western Montana. So definitely be on the lookout for that if you are traveling across those areas. Now, farther across the southeast, we got another system we're watching here. So early this week on Tuesday, we got a low pressure system developing just over the open waters of the Gulf, and this is going to be pushing closer to the coastline there across coastal Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi by Wednesday morning on April 12th. And then getting into Thursday morning on April 13th, that'll be pushing across portions of southern and central Louisiana, and then that will be bringing some heavier rainfall. So starting on Tuesday afternoon, near the coastline, like the New Orleans region, maybe the Lake Charles area there into southern Louisiana, we could be seeing some spotty showers, a couple thunderstorms there. That'll become a little bit more abundant, more widespread into New Orleans by the time we get into Wednesday morning, and then pushing slowly but surely northward Wednesday evening into portions of central and southern Louisiana, southern Mississippi, and southern Alabama there. So the Gulfport, Mobile, Alabama region, Hattiesburg, New Orleans, getting over toward Baton Rouge. Those are the areas to watch for heavier rainfall by Wednesday evening. That will continue through Thursday morning with more of the heavier rainfall pushing up toward the Jackson, Mississippi area, Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, and then on up into portions of the Macon, Georgia region as well. And then by Friday morning, all that pushes across the Ohio, Tennessee river valleys and into at least South Carolina, but I think western North Carolina will start to get in on some of the rain and storm activity by Friday afternoon. So looking at the total rainfall accumulation from now through the week going through Friday, April 14th, the heaviest of the rains will be across the immediate coastline. So if we're talking about the New Orleans region, we're seeing about 3, maybe 4 inches of rain for you. The Tallahassee, Panama City, Pensacola regions, about 1 inch to 1.5 inches there. Mobile, Alabama, around 1 inch to 1.5 inches. And then the Hattiesburg region here into southern Mississippi could be around 1 inch going in toward that Friday time frame. But as we go through this late week into the weekend, we got another pattern change. We got the trough moving into the west again. That trough that's across the Pacific Northwest the middle of the week will be pressing its way slowly to the east, and we'll have a ridge across the eastern United States bringing the warmer temperatures. And you can see that by Friday, the ridge will be across the east. We got that trough moving across the Intermountain West that will slowly press its way across the Central Plains with that trough on Saturday. And again, more of that ridging across the east. We got the clashes of the air masses, and that's where we're going to watch the storms billow up as we go in toward late this week and into this upcoming weekend. So on Friday, April 14th, we got some moisture return. We got the dew points in the 50s across the Midwest here, the Ohio Valley, but the deeper moisture, relatively speaking, with the low 60 dew points, will be found down here in the central Gulf Coast states and East Texas on Friday, and then that will start to advect farther northward in toward the lower Great Lakes on Saturday. We could be seeing dew points approaching 60 degrees as far north as northern Illinois, western Indiana there on Saturday afternoon. That is ahead of a cold front that will be producing some showers and storms. So Friday afternoon, again, spotty showers, storms, likely not severe until we get to Friday evening, Friday night. These will mainly probably be elevated type of severe thunderstorms. So we're talking about mainly just large hail overnight and just some heavy rainfall. And then as we go into Saturday morning, maybe some strong wind producing storms here as far north as southern Illinois, southeastern Missouri, all the way south toward portions of New Orleans. We'll have to watch out for some hail producing storms as well. Then Saturday afternoon, depending on the timing of the cold front and everything that aligns itself, we could be seeing some stronger storms as far north as the Illinois Valley here, western Indiana, all the way south to the Gulf of Mexico on Saturday afternoon. That will continue into Saturday night, just a spotty nature along the cold front. Not everybody will see the strong thunderstorms, but if you get under one of those those stronger thunderstorm cells. We could be seeing some damaging winds, some large hail, and perhaps maybe a brief tornado as well. And you do notice there is a little bit of a deformation snow band back here across portions of central Ontario, Canada, into the Twin Cities region and northern Wisconsin, with some snowfall Saturday night and into Sunday. So the potential for severe weather this weekend, Friday and Saturday, will be mainly from central Illinois down through portions of the Arklatex, the western Tennessee Valley, and the coastal Texas regions. That's the area to watch going in toward that Friday and Saturday time frame, and then more so into Sunday across the southeast. So we're talking about the Carolinas, western Virginia, eastern Tennessee, and much of Georgia, Alabama, eastern portions of Mississippi, and northwest Florida. We'll have to watch those areas on Sunday for additional damaging winds, large hail, and a couple of tornadoes during that time frame. What we're also watching is the potential for another snowstorm, even in April. Yes, across the Twin Cities, we've seen a lot of snowfall this season. This model is showing in particular over 6 inches. I think this may be overdone, but I do think most of this will be accumulating on mainly the grassy surfaces up here into Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, parts of the western UP of Michigan, and especially central Ontario could see the heaviest snowfall from the system Friday into Saturday. The GFS model is a lot more bullish and a little more amplified with the system, pushes it farther north with some totals over a foot up here into northern Ontario. I think that's a little bit overdone, but I definitely think a few inches of snow will be possible, especially if you live in Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, the western UP of Michigan here, maybe the eastern Dakotas, and possibly as far south as northern Iowa here. Definitely something to watch out for a potential winter storm or snowstorm this upcoming weekend on Friday into Saturday. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I definitely appreciate it. If you guys liked the video, press the thumbs up down below. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those later on today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new, and hit the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. Don't forget to subscribe and follow me on Twitter. Definitely follow me on Twitter. Get additional weather information on there, including the Australian tropical cyclone that will be moving in as a Category 4 system as we get through this week. Definitely appreciate it, guys. Have a great rest of your Monday and a great rest of your week, and I will see you all in the next video.